When was the last time you were in front of your laptop for a long coding session, and no matter what you did, no matter what you tried, it felt like you ain't made no progress at all? Like you just wasted your time staring at the screen for almost 2 hours. You could have been doing something more productive, and no matter what you did, you just didn't get it. Well, look, I've been there, several others have been there, and the truth is, as long as you show up and you're putting in consistent effort, you actually are getting better at code. You just don't realize it just yet. So in this video, I want to talk about that initial feeling that you have that you aren't improving. And then I want to show you some signs that you actually are improving your skill as a programmer. And you should give yourself a little bit of grace and don't feel as if, hey, if I wasn't as good as I was yesterday, I'm not getting any better. Because chances are you actually are getting better at code. Why does it feel like you're not improving? Let's talk about this feeling first. See, learning to code is like going to the gym. You can't go to one workout or train legs once or twice and think that you're going to have the greatest physique or you're going to be able to accomplish whatever it is that you're looking to do inside of the gym. It takes consistent practice, discipline, and an overall lifestyle change in order to see the results that you're looking for as it relates to working out and seeing improvements in the gym. But this is the exact same thing as code. Just because you didn't do as good as you wanted to, or you didn't get everything accomplished that you wanted to get accomplished, it doesn't mean that you're not getting better, and it doesn't mean that you're not improving. Learning to code is challenging. It is not easy. It is not for the faint of heart. But ultimately, some things that you want to look for under the hood is that, are you getting better at developing patterns? Can you recognize patterns a lot sooner than you used to? Being able to identify what exactly is going on in the code, what should be taking place as it relates to the code flow is key. If you're doing a handle submit function, you know it should have a try catch block. You know there should be a variable that's capturing the information from the front end. You know you should be doing something with that data, sending it to the back end. These are patterns that you want to look for and signs that once you identify them, it'll show you that you actually are getting better at code. The next thing I want to tell you about is debugging. If you can debug your project and identify the issue, that is fantastic. And the faster you can do that, the better you're going to be at it. And as you see yourself being able to identify the issue sooner, go into the console, identify how to use Google, that's going to be a telltale sign for you that you actually are getting better at code and you're moving in the right direction. Finally, you should be Googling items a lot more efficiently. You know, when you're first starting out, when you're Googling an issue, it may be a wide range of things that you're Googling. But as you get better at code, you're going to become more efficient at what you're Googling. You're going to have certain go-to resources that you want to look up, and you're going to spend less time researching and more time actually developing and building out your project. So just because you're not getting what you're looking for immediately, or it may feel like you're not getting better, these are some simple things that you actually are doing. And if you are seeing improvement in these areas, these are just some simple things that tell you that you are getting better. All right, so let's talk a little bit about growth and what it actually looks like. Here's the thing. Growth isn't necessarily linear. It's not going to be something that continuously gets to a certain extent every day on end. Sometimes you're going to have some plateaus, and sometimes it's going to spike. It really just kind of depends. That's all a part of growth, being uncomfortable, and learning in general. Sometimes you're going to struggle for weeks on end with a concept or getting something done. And then one day, all of a sudden, everything clicks and you're able to flow through that process a lot more efficiently with a lot less mistakes and get the things done ultimately that you want to get done. See, you'll also find yourself going back, looking on old projects saying, hey, why did I make this mistake? Or why did I write this code this particular way? It would have been a lot more efficient had I changed this to a function versus writing several if statements. These are all signs that you actually are growing. You're no longer copying and pasting code blindly. You're asking yourself, hey, why does this work? Where do I implement it? How do I write this in my own style of code so that it resembles something that I can easily read and easily modify, and it's not something that someone else wrote in their style of coding and I'm having a hard time interpreting it and modifying it. These are all simple signs that you're improving as a developer and that you're getting better with code in general. You're shifting from a mindset of memorizing to understanding. That's going to be a very, very big key factor in this journey, because the last thing you want to do is memorize code. Those things can change. But what doesn't change is the actual process of getting from A to B. In this journey, you got to give yourself more credit because you're doing more than you realize. If you're watching coding tutorials, you're building projects, you're finishing those projects, you're writing code, you're uploading to GitHub, you're trying new things, that's growth. Even though it may feel slow and monotonous, you actually are improving. You've got to ask yourself a few questions. Could you have solved this same problem 30 days ago? Can you read code a lot faster than you did before? Are you building projects and not just watching someone else do it? If you've answered yes to any of those, you actually are growing. Think about it like this. If your very first project was a to-do app and you're still building a to-do app, but you're able to add one, two, maybe even three additional features, that's improvement. It doesn't necessarily have to go from a basic application to something that's production ready. No, anything that you're doing to add on to what you do and learn something new, that's growth. So consider that a win and take that as a small win in your coding journey. And don't get so caught up in, hey, I'm not improving, because small incremental improvements and additions actually is a sign of growth. Now, I know this is not easy, and I can personally relate that this is something that I struggled with initially. But how do you stay motivated even when you feel stuck? Here's some things that I did and my advice to you. Stop tracking perfection and start tracking consistency. Get yourself a notebook and make a mark in that notebook every time you complete 25, 30 minutes of code. That way you can give yourself some form of recognition for a job well done and actually sticking to something that you said you were going to do. Being consistent is key. You're not going to always be perfect, but as long as you're showing up, progress will be made. Instead of asking yourself, am I good enough yet? Ask yourself, did you show up? Again, half the battle is showing up. You're not competing with anyone else but the person in the mirror. And the good thing is the person in the mirror isn't necessarily trying to beat you. That person is trying to be good with you. So embrace that and stop striving for perfection and strive for consistency. And instead of making a list that says, hey, these are all the things that I want to get done, make a list that says these are the things that I actually done. It could be something as simple as I was able to reverse a string in one way or multiple ways. I was able to build a responsive nav bar with no additional frameworks, pure CSS and JavaScript. I was able to build a static website and add 2 additional features to it. Whatever it is that you've done, make a list of the things that you did accomplish, and don't set yourself up for failure by saying, hey, I got to get this done, I got to get that done, and I got to get all these things done. And then when you don't get them done, you feel unmotivated, you feel as if you're not good enough, and that's when you start to feel like a failure or someone that isn't making progress, when you really just need to change your mindset or how you're looking at going about learning the code. So the final thing I want to remind you of is coding is hard. It is not for the faint of heart. There's a reason why developers are generally compensated very well, because it is an extremely difficult skill to learn and not everyone can do it. So as you are making progress, you got to give yourself credit for it. Most people are going to quit because they don't feel good all the time. And if they don't get immediate self-gratification, they're going to turn and they're going to do something else that does give them that gratification that you're looking for. That isn't the case with code. Code is a little different. It's something that takes a little bit more time and it's not linear. It's something that everyone has their own personal journey of, and we all grow at different paces. So if you ever have to look up code, don't feel bad about that. That's something that every developer is going to have to do. Those that actually do succeed and do find themselves accomplishing their goals in the coding industry, they're going to be able to push through those self-doubts and stick with it and not give up. Not saying that you need to spend hours on end to get something done, but you do need to be consistent and develop some structure so that you can continue to build upon the skills that you had the prior day and you can continue to get better. And in that journey, don't be afraid to take a step away and take a break. A lot of times a fresh mind and a fresh approach with something is a lot more valuable, or more valuable, than someone that's been grinding for hours and days on end, because eventually you are human and your brain is going to need to take a break and decompress, relax, and rest so that you can be re-energized for the next day. So that's going to conclude today's video on how to feel unstuck or unmotivated as it relates to getting better with code. If you found some value in this, share it with a friend and go ahead and give me a like. I genuinely appreciate it. Leave a comment on some things that you've done to kind of get out of a funk or to help yourself feel more motivated as it related to learning code or learning a new technology or learning something new in general. I love to hear all about it and engage with you in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.